Alrighty, so a bit of Olimoleague replay casting action. These are obviously played on Tuesday. Olimoleague is every Tuesday. And yeah, just using this as a way to have something to stream this week a little bit. Is in the bottom right side. Going to start us off with the Red Terran player SpeCial. This is a match from the round of 16, and today kind of hoping to go through the round of 16, round of 8, round of 4, and finals. Obviously just like a match from each or so. Just to put together a little bit of a stream. Is in the top left-hand side, our blue Protoss player is Zest from Raise Your Edge. Now, I will not lie, I was told these replays were pretty good. Especially this week's Olimoleague was like really like woohoo, like it was sick. So I'm gonna say hello to the possibility of being on YouTube as well. Hope you guys are all doing great. Thank you so much for all the continued support. We are approaching 25,000 YouTube subs. If you guys are enjoying the content, do consider subscribing to see when we upload more. And obviously like and comment on the video as well to help. When we hit 25,000 YouTube subs, we will be doing, I haven't decided exactly what just yet, but we'll be doing something of a special little tournament just for YouTube. So yeah, probably like a $500 to $1,000 Korean invitational, or like a small invitational as well, so you really just get tip-top players. Something like that. I haven't 100% decided just yet what we're going to do, but we will do, like I said, something along those lines as a bit of a celebration. So this does start off with the proxied barracks over on the far left side of the map from SpeCial, right up close as well to this little ledge, which of course the Reaper can jump up. This is submarine, so short map, definitely a very aggressive one. Zest already here, seeing the fact there's no racks in SpeCial's main base, came down, checked behind the natural, so definitely looking more and more likely to be a actual proxy. What Zest needs to do is actually start the Zealot, because if you do not start the Zealot here, this gets pretty rough for you pretty early on. You know, if you skip this Zealot, you generally fall into a lot of trouble very quickly. And he is skipping it. So the first Reaper is definitely going to cause some chaos. You know, this is Zest basically saying, well, maybe it's over here or over here, and I'm just trying to call your bluff in the fact that, you know, you are not proxying. But yeah, now the Reaper's going to show up. It's going to be a little bit passive, though. It actually came around a weird side. I feel like it was meant to just hop up here. Anyways, it's going to move in, but the Stalker's almost done. Definitely a bit of a delay from SpeCial, you know, being able to maybe do something here and actually doing something. So he's going to take some shots from this Stalker. Now that probe is very low. He's going to risk the run through the mineral line. He will kill the probe. Does he have a grenade? No, he's already on cooldown. So he was just not able to get away from that Stalker. He does get 2 probes at the cost of the first Reaper. Now he built a second Reaper. Instantly Zest is like, oh, I want to go across the map. You know, I want to, like, you know, a counterattack, because it is a short map, right? You can get across very quickly. You can get into that mineral line on the natural, and you can apply some pressure. So definitely makes sense. Of course, the, you know, second Reaper showing up will keep the second Stalker at home, so will not allow Zest to go fully across the map. As SpeCial behind this does just start up a command center, gets his starport down. He's actually building a Widow Mine to help him defend, of course. A Widow Mine early here. There's nothing really to detect it, so once he gets burrowed, it basically means you have to sacrifice a unit to be on this ramp. And that means you just don't really want to do that. Do you want to give up a Stalker here? Well, no, not really. As Zest is going to follow up pretty aggressively, by the way. Chrono boosting the warp gate, getting a second gateway, and a proxied pylon across the map, looking to warp in over on the far right-hand side. As the Cyclone continues to build, and the racks from SpeCial will continue to fly home. You're just going to be seeing the Reaper all the way around this right-hand side. Is just going to be moving around and trying to see what else is going on. Pylon takes a few shots of damage. You still just see the Widow Mine of SpeCial out the front. Rax is going to come back in and build up a reactor in the main base, as the other Stalkers will be coming through the middle of the map. So Stalkers moving through the center, and really, again, just obviously we're expecting this pressure to come on in, right? We're expecting this at this point. SpeCial knows about the pylon, though. He actually cancels the lock-on to kill the probe instead. And there is still a Widow Mine at the front, so there is guaranteed a Stalker going down in this. And the splash damage is actually going to give the Cyclone a good chance to lock on, but it doesn't stay locked on. 4 Stalkers get over here, but a siege tank about to be done. Okay, SpeCial is slightly delayed taking a CC, but it was a later command center anyway, right? As across the map, this Reaper comes in looking for its first kill of the game, and it does get there. 1 kill, and of course a rescout into the main confirms the Twilight Council. Blink on the way from Zest, as he's going to recall these Stalkers back home. I think he realizes they're a little bit trapped, especially with the siege tank here. There's no way out for them, so he has to recall them away, and he does so. And let's see what SpeCial can do with these cloaked Banshees, as we do see the Cyclone now back out and go clean up that pylon, get rid of that map control, get rid of that warping potential, and just, you know, be done with that, basically, as the robo facility of Zest drops into the main base here. A good few Stalkers out the front, and all of this collecting together then is We really do just see again Blink continue to chrono boost away at Tech Lab on Arax, and Banshee of SpeCial will be moving along through this bottom side of the map, so away it goes. And cross through the south side to see where I can get to. A couple of extra Stalkers will be warping in from Zest, so all of this joining up out the front of the natural. And just going to be seeing again Banshees continue to come on through. Honestly, I mean, there is a robo up, but right now, not an observer. And when he builds this observer, it's currently rallied across the map. The Stalkers are moving out too. This is going to be a big turnaround from Zest just to come and deal with this Banshee. The shield battery isn't going to be in range of all of these probes, so there's absolutely going to be room for damage to be done. Gets 2 kills already, and then we'll hop into the main. Now, good news is the observer wasn't out yet, so the observer has time to relocate and re-rally to the main base. This is now already 4 probes going down. The biggest thing here is that all of these Stalkers came back home. They were absolutely looking to gun across the map and get straight across, get damage done. Now they come back home, delays any sort of pressure that SpeCial has to deal with here, and now has a Banshee already moving around the top side as well. Will it have a similar effect? I imagine not. Shield batteries and mineral lines, likely that just a couple of warp-ins will achieve the defense that Zest is looking for in this. As this Banshee moves into the main base and continue to chase through into the main for those probes. See the shield battery about to finish. Stalker's warping in. He's just going to go to the dead airspace, try and keep this Banshee alive for a little bit later on. These tanks give pretty good coverage at the front, by the way. The way that submarine is set up is if you can kind of hold this area so the tanks don't just get like instantly picked off by a blink, I mean, then it's very difficult for these Stalkers to do much. There's good bait in there from SpeCial. Now, I mean, this is just a death zone. These tanks, this area here, you are going to insta-die if you walk into that. So Zest can't do much. And then maybe you could come around this side and maybe blink up into the main where there's like a stim pack or something that's, you know, still building. Maybe that's Zest's opportunity, but he hasn't got high ground vision across the map. The 2 observers he's got, well, they're back at home. One of them was trailing this Banshee this entire time, so Zest just wasn't able to make anything happen here. What was meant to be a fairly high amount of Stalkers into some good attack into the main, you know, dealing some damage and stuff, kind of just fell apart a little bit, as we're going to see the siege tank sieging up on the natural expansion. Senate Thermal Lance is about halfway done. Charge is building. I'm just going to be seeing the observer. Doesn't quite get caught there as SpeCial. He's going to spam a little bit. And looks as though there's a little bit of a lag spike going on. I was wondering. I wonder if that affected him actually catching an observer. Maybe the scan was slightly misplaced because of the lag or so. Anyways, looks as though we're good to continue on. I mean, obviously, we're casting replays. We don't have to wait. The benefit of replays, I'll always say it. A couple of extra gates dropping down from Zest in the front of the natural expansion. Stalkers still out here, and, well, Bio-Tank moving forward. We see this siege tank taking a couple shots already. The Bio still pushing through. Stalkers getting pushed back. Zest trying to find out what's going on. I mean, you see that 3cc. That's really good information. I mean, that's mostly what you're looking for. It's also nice to roughly see, okay, like, are you building more medevacs behind this? Are you going, like, super drop heavy? Are you building Vikings and really building up an answer to the Colossi already? You know, how are we going about this, basically? As the Stalkers blink back through into the center, they get a Marine to begin with, and this Banshee now coming across is going to go for a few of these extra probes. Fire cleans out those rocks and has access to the 3rd base. Colossi, only 2 of them here. I mean, the Stalkers are still out on the map. SpeCial's a little afraid. I get it, right? Colossi are scary, but I do feel like this is a scenario where you probably can get in and just, well, dive on them, right? There's a sentry, a shield battery. I guess maybe he's afraid of shield battery overcharge. I mean, again, I get it, right? Maybe there's just no need to take this quickly when you feel like you've got a good siege up. You know, you can just take this slow and steady and make it work out. Why take the risk? Okay, well, I mean, you're now getting a 5th siege tank here as well. So Team Marauders will stim ahead, try and target down the sentry, which just pops the Guardian Shield. Ooh, forces for an overcharge or battery overcharge. And that's going to be the moment where SpeCial just says, cool, I've already forced this. I'm just going to back away now and, you know, just wait for that to expire. And suddenly you've lost one of your main defensive, defensive spells, really, or abilities. Here we go, fight will start up. Don't really like the Colossi. They're firing a lot of single units in the front. SpeCial kiting back to let his siege tanks do a lot of the work here. Now the Stalkers blink in. Siege tanks will continue to fight the Stalkers. The couple of Marauders still around, getting quite a lot of these Stalker kills. I mean, a lot of Stalkers go down here at the end. He lost 2 of the 4 Colossi, but SpeCial did lose every single siege tank. Nice to keep the medevacs alive, especially when there's so many Stalkers on the map. And as he gets back home, is he safe? I mean, he's got 2 Vikings to still help to try and fight the Colossi. It is just Colossus Stalker, and because there's no Warp Prism, counterattacking isn't going to happen very quickly or very effectively. And that's maybe part of the issue at the moment. And you can't really warp in reinforcements to help out with this. Temple Archives is building +2 attack on that Forge. And just seeing the Siege Tank going to be finished in the main base in a few moments' time. Marines, Marauders, all the rest of it joining up together as SCVs will pull out. Just going to send a few workers down to this 3rd base location. And we still have these Stalkers sitting at the front, thinking about making an appearance and jumping in for some of this bio army. As that turret's building, Viking tank, etc., +1 armor all continue to come on through as well. Another scan out over on the left-hand side. Just making sure you want to kind of know where your outgases, see what the army is there, and you realize, okay, well, you're not fully all in, right? Like, you've not brought your entire army across the map. And that says to SpeCial, well, actually, I can move out a little bit then. And that's exactly what he will do to push those Stalkers away. Big stim used, but he has the medevac energy to heal it up for the moment. Love the Vikings, the turret, all of this, just making sure there's not going to be a prism in the main. There could be a prism into the natural around this right-hand side, though. That's something which SpeCial doesn't have very good map vision of at all, so yeah, there's definitely still openings, but he's cutting off the options, right? And I guess if there's a prism that gets to your main base, it's way worse than if the prism gets to the natural, right? You're more easily able to pull back to that natural. Obviously, from the natural, you can then get into the main, but this part of the main is also easier to reach than, like, this part of the main, if only just. So maybe something there in terms of where he decides to prioritize the Vikings being. Maybe he just knows that that's the direction Zest likes to fly a prism in if he's going to fly a prism across the map. Now, SpeCial continues to tech up. Those ghosts are coming onto the field. +1 armor is about to be done too. It'll be 1-1 against just +2 attack. So 2 upgrades apiece, but different upgrades basically. I don't like the fact that the Zealots don't have any upgrades, right? I mean, they have attack, right? But they don't have any armor upgrades, and that means they really don't do well here. Even the tanks just taking the shields off them mean the Zealots then melt. A couple of EMPs came down to help as well. I mean, the Vikings just going to chase the Colossi. Those are kind of on their own. There's a few Stalkers there. SpeCial pulls them back, saying, well, I just don't need to chase, given the circumstances. And that's going to be GG for game number 1. Zest is out, and SpeCial is going to take the first map of the series, going up 1-0. And the bottom right-hand side from Raise Your Reg, the red Protoss player is Zest. Taking on the blue Terran in the top left-hand side, it is SpeCial. Alright, game 2 of this best of 3 as we get this up and running. SpeCial taking that 1-0 lead. Definitely just felt he had good control of the game from the start. You know, the Stalkers actually were never really able to do what they wanted to, so then he was left on a very high Stalker count Zest, while going into Colossi just a bit later than it could have been, or, you know, it could have been like a 3rd base into Colossus. But yeah, it just didn't really work because he didn't get anything done with those Stalkers. And then SpeCial, you know, he comes wandering across the map and takes a good fight, and in general, the fights just continue to be very good for him. And, you know, I feel like the last fight especially, Zest maybe could have even put a bit more focus onto. You know, there was absolutely moments where he was not splitting Zealots, and maybe Zealots in a couple directions would have helped. Instead of all the Zealots being hit by the same tank shot to lose their shields, they get massacred by the bio. Obviously, none of that was very helpful either. As, yeah, I guess actually just going to quickly mention this one, by the way, guys. If you're watching this on YouTube, I've just been told that, I've just been made aware the last couple of days, I don't think I've mentioned this in a video yet, so mine is sellout, just as we set this up, that if you're watching this on YouTube, and you have a YouTube Premium membership, you can actually become a channel member for free for a month. Usually that costs you $5 a month, helps to support me monetarily. So if you have that YouTube Premium membership, click join just below the video, and you should be able to join for free. I believe that is going to last throughout July, if I'm not mistaken. If it doesn't say, then I've messed up a little bit, but definitely worth checking it out in general. Just a quick little sellout to start this game number 2. Otherwise, Command Center is coming down, so SpeCial already setting up his initial expansion here. Factory building in the main base. Obviously, no proxied barracks this time around, which gives me a little bit more time to talk at the start. Not so much exciting happening. Very typical probe scout. The only thing that's maybe a little bit weird is that SpeCial doesn't SCV scout at all. That's a little bit risky. If this was something like a proxied gateway, then that's what he's looking for now, hoping that he would find it. He's going to go this side and then this side, and I guess that's pretty much as far as he would expect a proxy gate to be. then he maybe would be in a bit of trouble, right? Because an SCV scout would have told him, oh, there is no expansion, there's no Nexus up. And if there's no Nexus up, all of a sudden you're in a position where it's like, okay, well, now I know something is happening. Maybe you cancel the CC much sooner, maybe. You know, there's so many ways you can then go about that. So not scouting a little bit greedy will pay off for Special this time, because there is, in the end, not much for him to really need to scout. As the Twilight Council builds on the natural, Zest says, well, I'll go Blink again. Obviously, plenty of options for Blink, as that's going to be a second gateway, though. And generally, the second gate is going to look very similar to what we saw last game, and not just because he was on 2 gateways early, right? But he was also, you know, it's always this setup where if you want to go into 4 gates, actually going Robo pretty quickly is nice, because you generally want an Observer and a Prism. And so you need that Robo early, then go up to 4 gateways. Whereas here, 2 gates already, then probably a Robo. It's a more an indicator of that 345 to 405 third base timing. And just playing, you know, a good amount of Stalkers off 2 gates into a transition, whatever that may be, whether that's going to be your Robo Bay, or whether that's going to then be, you know, the Charge and the 3 gas, you know, Zealot Charge Lot, Blink Stalker opener. There is that Robo. Special did just reactor out a couple Hellions. Nothing out of this world crazy. He will try and break his way through into the natural, and he will get there. Reaper stays alive as well, so 2 Reaper and 2 Hellions into the main. And they're going to get a couple of probe kills here. He gets 1, he should. And if he was able to split the target fire in there, he might be able to get 3 probes in total. I believe this was just 2. No, maybe he actually got 3. 4 killed in total, maybe 1 across the map. Something like that. I mean, 4 probes killed in total this game. We don't have a WCS game hard enabled, so we don't see the worker kill tab appearing on the left-hand side of your screen, guys. So 3 to 4 workers, not bad for a Reaper and a couple of Hellions. Obviously, most importantly, you get that scouting information. He gets in, he sees, okay, Robo, Twilight. Okay, he didn't have to get very far in to see this, but he also gets a scout on the number of gates in the main. Oh, none? Okay, so it's just 2 gates, and there is that third base being taken. Maybe a little bit later due to those couple of Hellions running by than what I initially stated, but the idea is the same. Around 4 to 415 in this case. I think I said 345, which would have been like a very greedy third base, but it's not unheard of. Especially Zest has been doing that a little bit lately in his PvT. As you have Banshees building, Cloak on the way up, the extra Marines on the way out, there's tank sieges in the natural expansion as well. Again, the third Nexus just continuing to tick along quite nicely here too, as our Robo builds up an Observer, and there's going to be another pylon from Zest into the main base. Observer from Zest will set up to the side, and yeah, just continue to set all of this up across the board. A couple extra Stalkers will be warping in as our third CC sets up on the front of the natural. Banshee will move out. Our siege tank of Special is going to go down the ramp into the natural. The Marines are going to be joining up as well. We do have the Banshee, couple of Marines. All of this continues to set up right now, as you do just see the few extra probes continuing to build. So it's a big push from Special. Marine tank Banshee. He's probably going to look to bunker up maybe the third base. There's actually a position where if you can get up into the natural, you could bunker up here. It's obviously, do you get up into the natural easily? Well, probably not. Cloak Banshee causing a bit of chaos. Picks off an Adept at the front. No Observer there or anything to give any vision. Is this Banshee being annoying? Right now you're going for a pylon. It's going to pull a couple Stalkers away to the side, and it really does take any attention away from the fact that Special's just going to push straight into the third. Tanks get sieged up, and this is immediately a problem. Bunkers go down, and that's going to put a timer on Zest and how long he has to really deal with this, right? Because if this gets to a point where this is going to be this Banshee chased away and killed, by the way, with the Stalkers then very out of position, if he's going to lose that third base, well, that's definitely bad for him. Behind the Special adds his extra racks, even has a Raven on the way up, maybe expecting DTs because of the potential. You know, it's the Twilight Council in the game, and it's Zest. Zest building DTs would not be a shock here, especially in a scenario where he just loses this third base. I gotta say, Special just kills the third like that. I mean, Zest just says, yeah, I am not in position to hold this off at all. The Stalkers are just on the map trying to deny further reinforcements. So he's trying to make sure this army never gets any larger. And the idea then is, of course, just the fact that you've got 2 bunkers and 2 tanks. So it's always going to be a pretty decent trade for you whenever Zest tries to break out of this. Obviously, the longer you wait, the better you should be able to trade as Zest. And obviously now there's no rush to really break out necessarily. And Special, again, the one thing for him really will be the fact that these extra racks were just later based on his build. And because of that, his stim pack, his combat shield is late. So there's not really much of like a big bio follow-up to this anytime soon. Love this Banshee, though. Just being sneaky and kind of moving around. Gonna find its way into a mineral line. Yes, there's an Observer. Yes, there's a Stalker. But it's not like there's a load of stuff, you know, in any one particular place. Now the Stalkers do blink up, but again, it just keeps these Stalkers busy as well. More time where SpeCial... I mean, again, I'm not sure that SpeCial necessarily wants to be broken out of here, but now he says, well, actually, I just brought a lot of your Stalkers in the main. Maybe I can get away with some of these units. Bunkers should salvage. And, yeah, he'll try and make it back home. If he saves the siege tanks in particular, that would obviously be fantastic for him. He does get the salvage on the bunkers. I mean, really ideal for SpeCial. In the end, just making sure he's there long enough to force the third base off to the other side, where Zest maybe didn't want it to be. Then keeps these units alive. I say somewhat skeptically just because we do have this army starting to move its way to it. Zealots will charge in, so we're going to lose maybe one siege tank here. Yeah, one siege tank, but then the Zealots run into the bio, so it's kind of an expensive siege tank kill at that. As we do have the tank sieging up, and again, this is just going to be without stim or anything, so it's going to make this bio force that little bit weaker, and probably the real reason that Zest has any sort of a push going on at all right now is he is going to blink in, going to go for those siege tanks still just a few moments before stim and combat shields. And this is huge for Zest. What a timing. Now the third base of SpeCial might be in some trouble as well. I say it might be. It absolutely is in some trouble. I should have said it might go down, but you know what? It absolutely will go down. Shot from the skies by those Stalkers. Bio gathering up on the ramp, and the medevacs setting up there as well. 1-1 upgrade still in the engineering base, just now getting going too. So we are finally starting to make some progress in terms of upgrades from SpeCial. But those are upgrades which Zest is actually still very far behind on too. So that's good for SpeCial, but now only on 2 bases. What can you even turn this into? If you want to turn this into an attack all-in based around 1-1, well, Temple Archive is going to be up. There's at the very least going to be Archons on the map, if not Storms available. Prism out from Zest, going to find openings, I'm sure. SpeCial is going to drop a Ghost Academy, and it looks like he might just try and get some Ghosts and then just go, but obviously doesn't feel great just yet as the Zealots continue to warp in. The Immortal's still building on the Robo. I'm just going to be seeing the bio is going to pick away at these rocks, and it's going to get taken down as the Widowmine is just sitting there and kind of chilling. Just going to see the rocks will fall as our Widowmines don't want to burrow up just yet. Marines and Marauders trying to stem through. A few Ghosts continuing to build, and again, a couple of Widowmines just on the way out, and this has got to just turn into a 2-base all-in. And he's got too many SCVs, so I assume there's going to be at least a few boys pulled with this. Zest is going to be on Storm, though. This is what I was saying. At the very least, Archons, if not Storm. Well, yeah, absolutely Storm looks like it's going to be done here. And if you've got Storm against, you know, 2-base all-in and SCV pull, I mean, you storm the SCVs down. Yes, it costs you a Storm, but it takes away any of the tanking that the SCVs are meant to do, any of the damage absorption they're meant to really add. You know, they're meant to take hits from the Stalkers and the Zealots and anything else just to, you know, slow that army down. Now even Widowmine's going down ahead of time. I mean, a big push from SpeCial, but I'm not feeling too hopeful for him. Definitely feels great for Zest. He even puts High Templars into a Prism. Do we even have the Ghosts with this army? Where are they? They are walking across. They're here soon. First Storm doesn't really hit too much, if I'm going to be honest, as drops another couple. High Templar down. Not sure what's going on there. Maybe wasn't having the energy. That's a huge Storm on the left side, though. Wow, that's a massive Storm as this Observer even gets out alive. Obviously, it's Storms like that are already weakening up this army, forcing a lot of the medevac energy to be already used. Now you have the Ghosts here, but again, SpeCial had to wait because none of this was meant to be timed out like this, right? That's why it's not syncing up well. And now it's like, okay, finally the Ghosts are here, but he's waited so long for that. The Sentry drops out and drops some force fields. That was not what I expected to drop out of the Warp Prism, guys. I was very ready for that to be the next High Templar. If the Storm available hits an EMP on a couple of Zealots, that will not really be enough if you ask me. The SpeCial SCVs are kind of just derping on the bottom side as well. They're not really doing what they're meant to do. 4 Immortals, going to be tough to get rid of. The Stalker count still great. All the SCVs are gone now, and so it really is just these last few Marines and Marauders. Zest warping in all the time. Obviously, SpeCial off a bit of a weaker economy, all things considered. And that will be GG as SpeCial takes a loss in game number 2. And we are now tied up 1-1 in this best of 3. In this round of 16 of the Olimoleague. I was going to say ESL Open Cup because I'm not used to casting Olimoleagues. So yeah, that's where we are at, guys. We are going to go and jump into a third map. Third map is in the top right-hand side. Our Red Terran player is SpeCial, up against the Blue Protoss in the bottom left-hand side from Razor Edge, Zest. third map of the series, and Ice and Chrome is where we go to try and wrap this one up. Nice large map. Really one where you can take, 2, 3, 4 bases very easily. Lots of choke points on those 4 bases. Large map definitely droppable for the Terran player from that side of thing. So yeah, it's one of those things where it's like, the size of the map definitely is nice for bio and its mobility, and obviously if you try and move across the map as, if you try and move across the map as Zest, then SpeCial can maybe pull that back a lot of times. But that being said, again, it is going to be easier for bases than usual, so maybe the pros just plays kind of a slower style. This is absolutely the kind of map where I could imagine you go to like 4 bases, and you're even just like, wow, I'm so safe, but it's tough to move across. Maybe I just make like a fleet beacon and like I start to go like carriers or something. If you get to like that level of safety where you can just afford to do it, right? If you can get up to 4 bases, 5 bases here, it's that kind of map. Like Eternal Empire, we've seen this a little bit more recently in TvP as well, where cross players basically get to like the 5 base and they're like, okay, well, I'm not going to go and attack across the map into you. Not so much because you're going to counter me all the time and stuff, just because it's hard to attack into 5 bases of a Terran player. And so instead, they just kind of start adding on Stargates and carriers, and then it puts the timer on the Terran. It's like, you have to do something to really make, to really stop that from happening. Otherwise, you're immediately in trouble, right? Otherwise you're kind of fighting carriers with your army that, it puts the pressure on. And, a massive carrier is very difficult to deal with. So, yeah, again, just maybe a way this game can go. I mean, this is also a map where some players can even still end it early. So, you might not even get there. Just theorizing a little bit, as you do have our Adept moving around this left-hand side. So, just having a bit of a look to see what exactly is going on. Adept shades back toward the main base. Twilight Council drops down. And we do have the starport already building from SpeCial in the main as well. So he does open with a Hellion. It's just the one Hellion for the moment. He actually opened 2 Reapers as well. Apologies not mentioning that, but just a little bit more pressure early in the game, basically. And 2 Reapers and 1 Hellion can definitely be a little bit of a scary feature. Running through into the natural expansion and looking to get damage done there. So it should be pretty cool as this Mule drops down. Mines away. Depot in the back as Blink will Chrono Boost out on the Twilight Council. So Chrono Boosting that Blink as Hellion and a couple of Reapers come through. First probe's already starting to drop, so that's 2 probes already down. This is really nice. He's going to have 3 workers, and looks like he'll get out with at least the Reaper, which is nice as well, because then you can use this Reaper to maybe get another scout a little bit later on. So he keeps a little bit of his potential scouting alive. He gets 3 worker kills. Very similar to the last game, actually. All right, last game, he also kind of got through and killed 3 to 4 workers, and he didn't keep a Reaper alive that time, but he did get already a scout into the base. So a little bit different in that regard, as we do see, again, 2 gates, Blink, and we're going to see the Robo coming down from Zest as he moves onto the map. He's continuing to chase across. He finds this probe that was in his base still. As the Widow Mines burrow up, the best he can do here is perhaps force one of the Widow Mines to fire. Oh, he's spy anyway. That's obviously nice, because then you're in range of the mineral line, right? So, Widow Mine's just going to load up. What did he lift up by accident? The Reaper? Okay, there he goes. So 3 Widow Mines load up, but Zest obviously saw that load up, so he's going to be somewhat cautious of it. Again, he got this pylon to the right side. Very reminiscent of what happened back in game number 1. Trying to be very aggro in the early stages of the game. But in reality, not really finding much chance to truly commit to an attack or anything. So, a lot of Stalkers warped in. You can see the effect of this. He's now going to go Forge before 3rd Nexus, and I guess that's just for potential detection against Widow Mines, obviously with some cannons if needed, in case there's an armory. Obviously, +1 is always going to be nice as well. All of this leads to a much later 3rd base. This is 30 seconds later than what we saw on Death Aura, with otherwise a fairly similar build. Obviously, the Forge was not as fast as this Reaper comes in. Is annoying again. Scouts the 3rd. That's really good information. Stalkers have that Blink, but 2 Widow Mines will get to burrow, and SpeCial knows the annoyance of that. It's going to be mining time lost, and well, he gets 2 probes on top of it as well. So honestly, really not that bad again. SpeCial doing well here. That's 3 probes killed since we have our Banshee and tank play, building up once more, again on this 3cc. And we'll see what he wants to do with the push. Obviously, it is a bit delayed because he went Raven initially. So it's not like he has, like, Banshees and Cloak. This should just be Cloakless Banshees. Oh, he's taking extra gases. He's going to play Mech here on Ice and Chroma. I talked a lot about what Zest could do. But SpeCial actually is going to play Mech. I mean, it's another nice map for Mech, as well as Eternal Empire. These bases are very easily held because there's not a lot... One of the big weaknesses of Mech is going to be that big bust of, like, gateway units. You can't get a big bust of gateway units in a world where, you know, it's a very choked up third base. So if you can't bust through like that, it makes you, it puts you into that much safer position, especially, and then Mech really can work out and really get to that strongest stage of the game, at which point they really say, well, how does Zest approach it? A lot of players have gone into carriers and disruptors in the later game against Mech. Some players like Pine like to kind of headbutt for a long time. But I think eventually what you want to get to is you want to get to that stage where you just get to an air army with carriers, disruptors. And that's the thing, because you might just build Thors against the carriers, but then the disruptors are actually really, really good against Thors. That's much further down the line, though. You can't just go straight there, because then a big mech push in, you know, around the 9-minute marker would just kill you. So Zest has to be a little bit more cautious than just being like, okay, it's time to drop down 3 Stargates and a Fleet Beacon. And we'll see what he does. Again, right now you look at this and... yeah, again, first of all, you've also got to figure out it's Mech, which he hasn't seen the gases. He's not seen much. He did in the NC Cloak Banshees setting up, so that might be something of a clue. The fact that he goes Cloak Banshees so late in the game, I imagine you'd get Hyperflight Rotors here as well. The fact he's still building Banshees would suggest that. And there it is, Hyperflight Rotors does start. Yeah, it would have been very weird not to go Hyperflight Rotors at some point of this, as we do see a scan over to the left-hand side, just watching on third base. So again, just SpeCial trying to pick up some info. He sees the extra gases, and for him, that's already good enough information that, okay, this is not just like 3 gas, lots of gateway units attacking. And that gives him a little bit more freedom, perhaps, in how he builds, what he builds. Just gives him a little bit more kind of, you know, he just knows he's safe for the next few moments. There's not immediately going to be a big all-in on the ground. There can absolutely still be pressure. There can still be, you know, prison plays. There can still be these stalkers maybe making their way through, but it's not all in if there is something that comes his way. So again, no need to, you know, maybe if he scans 3 gases there, maybe even adds a bunker or 2 just to let these Marines do a little bit more in the fight, to soak some more damage, let the tanks get extra shots off. Those are the sort of things that really do add up and go a long, long way. As the armory going to be done from SpeCial in the back of the main here very shortly. Just going to be seeing a few extra stalkers warping in. Robo Bay about to finish up from Zest in the natural, and a couple of extra cannons continue to build as well. As there go our Banshees back around the right side, the left side of the map. Actually, first time they're really moving across here. Haven't really seen much from the Banshees. They were just staying at home. Again, part of the defenses of SpeCial, basically. We're having a pretty passive game. Zest observer speed even right now. Obviously, that's actually quite nice to help against the Banshees when they have Hyperflight Rotors. Just give you that little bit of a chance of actually keeping up with them and being able to stay in range. As Macfield starts on the Tech Lab, Drilling Claws as well. Let's continue build into that. Widowmines, Hellions, and Cyclones all continue to build up. As again, a couple of Cyclones and the Raven into the middle of the map here. Stalkers and the Archons moving across. Obviously, Storm's ready as well. I'm not sure how much I like this Stalker heavy style. I mean, I feel like a certain amount of Stalkers can do okay. But right now, this is what feels like mostly Stalkers, right? And, you know, if these are mostly Stalkers walking into these tanks, then I'm kind of like, what really happens here? I mean, that's now adding on a Stargate, so we are starting to see that later game transition as he goes up to 5 bases. Of course, 0 pressure really from SpeCial, but SpeCial is now about to be maxed out. Yeah, a lot of that army, okay, like 16-ish supply is still Marines. But it's still maxed out? Even if you take like 20 supply off here from SpeCial, he has so much more than Zest. It would actually be a really... honestly, I'm surprised he isn't moving out. SpeCial's playing for the super late game. Dropping a bunch of different command centers. When in reality, he should kind of just try and go and press his advantage, right? I actually think he could be very successful. At the very least, I think he's going to get a decent trade just by sheer number of units and the difference between them. Banshees a few shots off on the Nexus on the south side here, and now Banshees will make their way into the main. While they have a little scout around, they warp in these Stalkers to help deflect. We do see some extra factories being produced. The fleet beacon still coming up. Stargates still being added on as well. Stalkers will chase, and the Cyclones are gonna get pushed away. Big storms. Wow, really big storms. Of course, that's mostly Marines, so again, that's kind of the part of the army you can afford to lose. Man, Zest maxed out really quickly himself. I guess he does just start 3 carriers, and then he's also on 10 gates, so a couple of warping rounds plus starting carriers. I guess we'll do that to you. And 87 probes. Yeah. Nah, I like what Zest is doing. I mean, I feel like SpeCial, if he moved out as he was maxing, maybe he's got a good chance of a push. Now I totally agree with him maybe staying back and being defensive, but he needs to be preparing for the fact that he hasn't done anything to Zest all game long. He scans into the natural, and what a scan that is, sees the carriers building, so now SpeCial knows exactly what's coming his way. Thors are going to be the next thing on his list to add. So adds on the Thors, he's actually going to start pushing across the map. Zest parks himself in the bottom right side. If SpeCial went through the center, Zest maybe could have shown up and just pushed into that base here, taken a base down right from the start, and maybe, you know, then just recall maybe. He doesn't even have to initiate a full-on base trade, right? Just going to see a couple of Widow Mines going off. A lot of Zealots taking quite a lot of damage. First carrier is already out, though, and I think SpeCial's really trying to hit before carriers, but this delay down over here isn't really helping him out either. You know, this is just him being kept back and able to really come across. Love those force fields. Really slows down the siege tanks from chasing, while the Hellions can still, you know, get in range and everything. The tanks are just held back, and that's the main thing here from Zest. The longer you hold these tanks back for, the better this is going to be for you. As that's a scan from SpeCial out in front. Sees a couple disruptors, the Stalkers with the cannon. Thor production continuing from SpeCial as well. Extra CCs on the top side. And again, the Hellions will continue to chase these Zealots. Will be going down. Stalkers coming back through and fighting these Hellions a little bit. A couple of refineries go to the top, and just going to be seeing the Hellions continuing to chase, and a depth goes down. The Stalkers and the Archon will be chased all the ways away. As you just see more and more carriers still pouring out here. SpeCial pulling back through into the center of the map as well. So joining this up, and the thing is, Zest is just making him run one way then the other, and SpeCial has never gotten anywhere meaningful. You know, if SpeCial had gone into, you know, on top of a base or something along those lines, then this would have been okay for him, but instead he's just running left, right, and okay, he's maybe like building up his own Thors, but Zest is getting to where he wants to be. He's getting these carriers up, and now launching an attack up here as he blinks up. Gets into position. SpeCial's going to kind of come into the middle of this. Storm is starting to drop down. What can these Thors do? They're going to get on top of the first carrier quickly. It goes down. Carriers are now focusing up the Thors, and the carriers don't kill Thors quickly. If the Zealots get on top of the Thors, it's a different story. Stalkers are still intercepting units on that top side. Extra carriers showing up. Disruptor's about to be here again. They're meant to be the heroes you need, but the Widow Mine stops the Disruptor, kills it off. The next Disruptor doesn't reach. Now the Thors do go down, though. These Thors on the natural, well, there's only one left, really, but 3 carriers and a huge Stalker warp in, and that's going to be a blink on top of this Thor if I've ever seen one. Is he really not going to blink on top of it? He's just going to walk up and derp, and okay, well, he's just making his own life more difficult, but it feels as though these carriers still pushing through. It's still going to be enough from Zest either way, as SpeCial just didn't quite have enough there. Not enough Thors. Kind of the way the fight went as well. It was kind of weird, like the carriers were on their own, but then he lost quite a lot here to the Stalkers on the front of his natural. At this point, it looks as though SpeCial is just deadlifting CCs, trying to back away. We're set up to go into a long game, but Zest just finds the moment to come across and kill SpeCial off. And he's, again, the Thors were really kind of a late addition, I suppose. No, I don't even know if they're a late addition. He was barely having the amount of Thors to hold. It was really just the fact that I think he just got caught up. Reinforcements over here, kind of fighting around this side. Units here that were on their own. It was just a bit of a split-up fight. All said and done is now a blink forward. Clean out these final Thors. And again, the Thors just don't do well enough against this amount of Stalkers, and that allows Zest to clean up and win this series 2-1. And that round of 16 match from the Olimoleague. GG, says SpeCial. And that indeed does wrap that up. And Zest, yeah, just his PvT recently has been a lot of fun, has been really awesome to watch, has definitely been fun to see. GG's, fun series, fun best of 3, some different games. It was a good one to watch.